Howdy Knicks fans, welcome back. Just wanted to drop another video before preseason game number one. And the question that is on everyone's mind now the Knicks have made that step into the playoffs and we're looking to take another step this year. The question is, can Julius Randle be a number one option on a championship contender? Short answer is yes. I think it's definitely possible. He definitely has work to do on the offensive side of the ball. He needs to improve his offensive efficiency a little more, but his defense is already there. And so the reason why I think so is if you think about it, in recent memory, there has been players, there have been teams that won championships without any like superstars in the team. The most recent I could think of is the Dallas Mavericks. Um, I know a lot of people like to think of Dirk Nowitzki as a superstar, but Dirk was a star. He wasn't totally unstoppable. Although during that 2011 run that they have when they won the championship, he was definitely unstoppable in the finals. The Heats couldn't do anything with him. However, that was not a stacked team. There wasn't a bunch of superstars on that team, and Dirk was basically the star on the team, and they were able to get over the hump. As a matter of fact, they actually during their run they visited the finals twice. The other team is the Pistons. If you guys can remember, in the mid 2000s, they beat the Lakers to win one championship, and they actually also had two runs going to the finals. They actually made a trip to the finals twice during their run. And actually, even sooner, if you think about it, the Miami Heat made it to the finals with Jimmy Butler as their best player. Jimmy Butler is is a superstar. He doesn't, he's not extremely flashy, but you have to consider him a superstar, especially because of his. He's a great two-way player, right? So at the wing position, so he plays great defense, and he also has a great, very good offense as well. And so Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat is another team that like quickly comes to mind. Now I know Julius Randle is not as good as Jimmy Butler yet. However, I do think he can actually be as good as Jimmy Butler as far as the impact he has on the team and also on the game. And we're going to look at some of Julius Randle's stats so we can take a look at why I believe he can actually be as good as Jimmy Butler in terms of impact and on the team and also on the game. So if we look here at Julius Randle's stats, if you look for the 2021 season, he played basically 71 games. He played 71 games. He shot 46% from the field, and the average distance of his shot was about 14 and a half feet. And so now we're going to look down here at a breakdown of the distance of his shots. Right? And so basically, 71% of the shots he took was within the three-point line. 16% of them was within 3 feet. 18% was between 3 and 10 feet. 20% was between 10 to 16 feet. 17% was between 16 feet and I guess 21 feet, basically between 16 feet and the three-point line. And 29% of all his shots came beyond the three-point line. And so if we look at further breakdown of the percentage, his effectiveness at these ranges, he shot 47% within the three-point line. He shot 66% within 3 feet, which 66% within 3 feet is good, is really good. So what I think, in my opinion, I think they need to increase because he's finishing pretty well at the rim. So I think they need to find a way, especially now that they have like Kemba Walker in the starting lineup, and also they have Fournier. So they have more playmakers, and they also have more people to help stretch the floor. I think they need to find a way to get this percentage up within 3 feet. If they can find a way to maybe get this up to, in my opinion, they can find a way to get this up to like maybe 22 to 25%. I think is going to make the team a lot better. And his offensive rating is also going to improve, and it's going to be a bigger impact on the team because is doing a pretty good job finishing at the rim. 66% is pretty good. And so now we're looking between 3 and 10 feet. This here, I'm actually a little surprised by this. It's only 41%, so this is a little low. He definitely needs to work on this himself. This is just something he needs to work on. So a lot of this between 3 and 10 feet, I wouldn't be surprised if most of it is just him, Julius Randle, making his moves one-on-one versus the defender. But between 3 and 10 feet, he only shot 41%. Between 10 and 16 feet, he shot 43%. I think he can also improve this a little bit. And then between 16 feet and the 3-point line, he shot 41%. Between beyond the 3-point line, he shot 41%. So if you look at this here as well, if in my opinion, it looks like he needs to basically decrease the number of shots he's taken from 16 feet to the 3-point line. I know Tom Thibodeau basically made some comments about this, about basically decreasing the amount of shots that we take, long twos that we take. And I think he probably has this in mind for Julius Randle. So I would not be surprised if we see Julius Randle uh, take less shots that are between 16 feet and the 3-point line, and have him focus more between 10 and 16 feet, and obviously, basically, with focus more within 16 feet. And then maybe he can swap out also some of these shots that he's taken here at the between 16 and 21 feet. He can swap it out with like maybe a few more three pointers. I mean, 29% of his field goals were 3-pointers that he shot it at 41%. Maybe they can try to get it up slightly, maybe to 31% of his shots being from 3-point line, and just see to see how he fares with it. But in my opinion, I think the biggest thing they need to work on, in my opinion, is getting him more easy baskets at the rim, because he's shooting 66% within 3 feet. And also, to get him to work on this here, he needs to work on his efficiency between 3 and 16 feet, especially between 3 and 10 feet. He should not be shooting 41% in this range. It definitely should be at least, in my opinion, they should be at least 44%. And between 10 and 16 feet, I guess about the same, right? Okay, if it's 43%, fine. But definitely between 3 and 10 feet, he needs to find a way to get this up to 44, 45%. And if Julius Randle does that, that's going to improve his offensive rating. Right now, I think his offensive rating is around like 111, 112. And this is the reason why. I think this is the reason why, because he's if you look at the majority of his shots comes from between 3 feet and 16 feet, and so that's basically, well, that's not the majority. His majority of his shots come from outside of the 3-point range, but the next biggest portion of his shots is coming between 3 and 16 feet, and he's shooting basically only about 42% between 3 and 16 feet. So he definitely needs to improve that a lot. And so the other thing we want to take a look at, all the field goals that he took, the breakdown of how much of it was assisted. So when he was within the 3-point line, 34% of his field goals he made were assisted, and 79% of the field goals that he made outside of the 3-point line, 79% of them was assisted. And so 21% of the shots he took at the 3-point line was off the bounce. He created that himself. 2% of his shots were dunks, and it was only 25 dunks he had last year. And so, that's not, obviously his offensive game is above league average. And so by no means am I saying Julius Randle is not a great offensive player. The fact that he's averaging 7 assists, 8 rebounds, and like 24 points, it's remarkable. Like Tom Thibodeau says, he is the engine that drives drives their offense. And you can definitely see the reason why. But however, these are some things, we're just trying to highlight some things he can definitely improve on, especially if he wants to basically take another step. So the next thing I want to do, I want to take a look at basically some of the other Eastern Conference teams. Specifically, I want to look at the core players on the Eastern Conference team, the contenders. I want to look at the net ratings of their core players. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I did. I basically got all this information from basketballreference.com. And so I went to Basketball Reference, downloaded the advanced stats for all the players in the NBA, and this was the per 100 stats. The reason why I took that is because I was interested in the field goal percentage of the players, and I was also interested in the offensive and defensive rating. And so I downloaded it, and then I inserted a column to find out what the net rating was. I did that by subtracting defensive rating from the offensive rating. And then I also, the only other adjustments I did was to figure out what the minutes per game were. And so I did that by basically dividing total number of minutes, which is right here, by the number of games played to give me basically minutes per game. And so after I did that, so I sorted it. And if you notice here, there's a lot of crazy a lot of crazy numbers up here. This one is 120, and you can see why. This guy played only 33 minutes the whole season and 5 games, and he averaged 6 minutes a game. And so of course you're gonna have crazy numbers like that. If you have especially decent players that are playing garbage time for whatever reason, the numbers are going to be ridiculously skewed. And so if you look at Udonis Haslam, it's the same thing. He played 1 game for 3 minutes, and his net rating is 89. So what I did was, after I sorted it, I capped the minutes to 25 minutes per game. And so after I capped it to 25 minutes, I resorted it, and so this is what we have here. And so this is a little more reasonable. And so this is a list of all the players in the league that played above 25 minutes a game. And this is what their offensive rating, defensive rating, and then net rating was. And if you notice here, Rudy Gobert is at the top. That's no surprise. And Mitchell Robinson is number 2. As you guys can see, this is why everyone talks about Mitchell Robinson the way they do. Everyone is really rooting for the success of this guy's career because he's good. Definitely has a lot of talent, and he has a lot to offer, not just to the Knicks, but also to whoever he plays for the next 10 to 12 years. Hopefully, he stays healthy. And of course, number 3 is Jared Allen. He played about 26. He played for Brooklyn, but also played for the Cavs. Finished season with the Cavs, but his net rating is 26, which is pretty good. Jared Allen is a pretty good center, above average center, and so that's the reason why. And so after I sorted it, I then did another sort. I wanted to basically sort it by teams. So that's what I have here. And I sorted basically. So I sorted the list that I had by teams. And so now each team has a list of their core players. So a list of all the players that played 25 minutes a game or more for them. And so up here at the top, one of the teams we're looking up at is the Atlanta Hawks, as you know. And so if we take a look at their core players and the team's total net rating, it is 30. And as you can see here, Clint Capella, John Collins are on top. They're double digits. And you have Bogdanovich at 8, DeAndre at 5, Trey at 1. Do not be deceived by Trey being at 1 and these guys being double digits. The reason why these guys were at the offensive rating is so dang high is because of Trey Young. Trey Young is the real reason why this offense moves, especially after that Dan coach took over, McMillan. The guy's a damn genius. He's an offensive genius, and he's also a very good, defensive coach. The fact that there's these guys, there's no great defenders in this core, in this lineup, except for Clint Capella. And the fact that they were able to find a way as a team to shut down Julius Randle and everyone else basically on the Knicks is basically speaks a lot about how good of a coach McMillan is, and also how good of a team these guys are, and also their willingness to listen to the coach and buy in what he has to say. Look at these defensive rating for these guys. The best one is Clint Capella at 106. The next one is John Collins at 112. 112 is not that great. I think that's slightly below average. Slightly, it's not great, but it's not horrible. But 112 is nothing to write home about. But they did a great job. Then the team's total net rating was 30, and so that it was pretty decent. It wasn't bad. And so and then the next one is Brooklyn. Brooklyn, their net total net rating was 71, but that was because of Jared Allen. And so Jared Allen, for some crazy reason, they ended up trading him. Although they knew DeAndre Jordan wasn't the answer, they benched DeAndre Jordan second half of the season going into the playoffs. And I just don't know why they traded Jared Allen, because they could have used him in the playoffs. If they had Jared Allen, the chances are they may have beaten the Bucks and been able, and they probably would have been in. They probably would have been able to make it to the conference finals, possibly beat the Hawks, and go to the finals. But that didn't happen. They traded Jared Allen, kept DeAndre Jordan, benched DeAndre Jordan, and so that's what you got. So if you take away Jared Allen, their total net rating is really 45, and so although it's 71 here, Jared Allen wasn't with them at the end of the season, and so it's best to subtract that. And so the next team that we're going to look at, I think, is the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you look, their total net team rating is 38. The Bucks are just a solid team. They're all average to above average defensive team. And so this is their core players here. Although DiVincenzo, I don't know if he played. I don't know if he played in the playoffs. I can't remember. But yeah, he was obviously he's one of their core players. And so Chris Middleton, net rating of 3. Brook Lopez, net rating of 11. Solid defensive effort from him. His offensive rating was 121, which was excellent for a center. Same thing for Drew Holiday. Great offensive rating, especially for a guy who's creating his own shot and creating shots for others. This is excellent. And then you couple that with like a 111 defensive rating. And of course, Giannis, probably one of the best, possibly one of the best, top 3 best defenders in the league. 107 defensive rating. And of course, his offensive rating at 122, which is also excellent, a net of 15. So you can definitely see why these guys made it to the finals. Their defensive rating, they probably have their core players probably has the lowest average defensive rating out of all these. Actually, out of all the teams I'm reviewing that are contenders. And so the next one is the Philadelphia 76ers. We're looking at their net rating was 47, and this is a very good ball club on paper. And also when you play them, they are very good. They're a very good defensive squad. They all have average to, and then it's like they have one average defender, and the rest of them are like above average defenders. Like, look at this. Joel is 104. Tobias Harris 108. That's very good. Ben Simmons 106. Very good. Danny Green 108 is very good. And the worst one is Seth Curry at 112. That's kind of like average, Sort of maybe a little below average, but it's pretty not bad. Sorry, I just I lost it there. So this is the reason why, the 76ers. Back to the 76ers. This is the reason why I'm extremely surprised. A lot of people are very surprised they lost to the Hawks, but we all know why. That's because Ben Simmons just, he melted down in the playoffs, and it is what it is, and that was the end of that. And so now, if we look at that, we're gonna, you see that we're gonna go look at the Knicks, their net rating. The Knicks' net rating was 44. However, if you remove Mitchell Robinson, their net rating is really more like, what is it, like maybe 17? Because we didn't have Mitchell Robinson in the playoffs, and so the net rating was really 17, and so we didn't have that. Mitchell Robinson gives you a lot as far as being able to apply pressure at the rim. Number one, that was the biggest thing. The other big thing is his defensive rating. Has a 104 defensive rating. You know, that's extreme. That's extremely good. It's like, you know, it's one of the best in the league. Is actually so he's tied basically with uh, Joel Embiid and like I can't remember who else was at 104. Well, I guess he's tied with Joel Embiid. But you know that's the reason why we really miss him in the playoffs. Also, is because of his ability to play Trey Young in a pick and roll, and it would have basically neutralized the effectiveness of Clint Capella as well in the pick and roll, and Trey Young in the pick and roll. And so, but the other thing I wanted to do is like so. Hopefully, if what I wanted, the other thing I wanted to do is look at Julius Randle, his net rating. His net rating was at 4. Is 4. His offensive rating is at 111. Defensive rating is at 107, which is excellent. And so offensive rating, you know, that's where the issue is. And as we said, if you remember, his field goal percentage was about 46%. It was like 45.6%. So it was rounded up. So if he can improve his field goal percentage, if he can raise his field goal percentage more to 50%, especially his field goal percent, his percentage from 2, get it above 50, then you're going to see this net rating rise, and also it's going to make the Knicks a much better team as well, right? And so, like I said, if we have a healthy Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle improve his offensive game so he can get this net rating. I mean, it'll be good if he can get his net rating more around one, especially 117, because since his usage rate is so high, if he can get it around 117, you can see the the Knicks' total offense improve drastically because he's going to be able to find easy shots for like 3-point shooters. He's going to be able to find easy baskets for Mitchell Robinson, especially with teams being so concerned with with Julius Randle operating in the wing. You know, especially if he, you know, yeah, when he's in the wing, he's looking to either drive or pull up. You can't have like either Clint Capella or somebody shadowing Julius Randle or trying to double Julius Randle, especially when you got Mitchell Robinson there. When you have Mitchell Robinson there, that's not going to happen because he's a great lob threat. He's got great hands, and he finishes over 66% at the rim. I think his career average might be close to 70%. So this is the reason why I think the Knicks uh, can be a championship contender with Julius Randle. And the reason why is because he's not that far away. His defense is already there. He just needs to improve a few things on the offensive end. And let's go back to those stats and talk about uh, what I feel he needs to improve again so you guys can take another look. Again, if we can, number one, if the point guards can get him easier baskets at the rim, right? That's going to be really big. That's going to improve his efficiency, right? Because he's shooting 66% at the rim, basically. So they need to find a way to get him more shots, easy shots close to the rim. This is more Julius Randle. He needs to work on his shooting between 3 feet and 16 feet. He shot 41% between 3 and 10 feet, 43% between 10 and 16 feet. If he can increase this, especially this year, if he can improve this field goal percentage to 44, 45 this year, I think that will do a lot for his team in the Knicks. So let's go back to the analysis of all the teams and the core players. I'm just let's take a look at the Phoenix Suns, right? Phoenix Suns. Look at Devin Booker. Look at Devin Booker's offensive rating. Now, if you were to say who was a better player, Julius Randle or Devin Booker, people will say Devin Booker in a heartbeat. He's a better player. But, if you look at the stats, I'm just not sure about that, right? I mean, Devin Booker, obviously, he's a great player. He's a good offensive talent, but his efficiency is not that high. His offensive rating is only at 110, and that's because his field goal percentage is at 48. He's at 48%. And so Devin Booker definitely has a lot to work on. His 3 point percentage, I think Devin Booker's 3 point percentage is only like around 35, 36%. I think is like slightly above league average. So Devin Booker is not extremely lethal from downtown. So take a look again at this offensive rating. I mean, he's definitely the best player on their team. Um, However, he definitely has a lot of good players. They did a good job putting a lot of good players around him because you're going to have to look at more like players like the reason why they're so effective and so good is because of players like Mikal Bridges, right? He's shooting very well. His field goal percentage is 54%. DeAndre Ayton shoots 63% from the field with a defensive rating of 109, which is really good, right? Chris Paul, as old as he is, defensive rating 111. His offensive rating 124. Jay Crowder, Jay Crowder is the only one with an anemic net differential on their team. There's only two, but however, he's a solid defensive player, and he's an okay, barely, I guess a little above average offensive player, you know. And Devin Booker, he's a negative net rating. And the reason why mostly is because of his defense. He needs to work on his defense. His defense is below average. If he can get his defense, if he can improve his defense, the Suns are not going to have a lot of trouble in the future to make it to the finals. But of course, they have to worry about I don't know how they're going to be able to get Chris Paul to play like another 3 years. In my opinion, without Chris Paul, I don't see them. They're going to struggle to go back to the finals. I don't see them being able to make it. But I just wanted to show you guys, give you guys a good idea of like some of the other teams out there, their best players, and what their net ratings look like. Um, and so and so with Julius Randle, I think he has a shot. He definitely has a shot at improving. He has he doesn't have a ton he needs to improve. Like I said, his defense is already there. He only needs to get easier shots at the rim. That's more on Tom Thibodeau to figure out how to get Julius easier shots at the rim. The other thing is on Julius. He needs to improve his shot making between 3 and 16 feet. And if he does those two things, I think his net rating improves drastically. And also, the New York Knicks actually is going to be a much better team if Julius Randle does that. And so that's pretty much what I have to say. Tell me what you guys think. Is Julius Randle really can he be the number one option for a championship contender? What do you guys think? Let me know if it's a pipe dream, if I'm crazy, or if I'm smoking something. Let me know. Comment below, like and subscribe. Thanks.